Hello, and welcome to the Feeling Good podcast, where you can learn powerful techniques to change the way you feel. I am your host, Dr. Rhonda Borowski, and joining me here in the Murrieta studio is Dr. David Burns. Dr. Burns is a pioneer in the development of cognitive behavioral therapy and the creator of the new team therapy. He is the author of Feeling Good, which has sold over 5 million copies in the United States and has been translated into over 30 languages. His latest book, Feeling Great, contains powerful new techniques that make rapid recovery possible for many people struggling with depression and anxiety. Dr. Burns is currently an emeritus adjunct professor of clinical psychiatry at Stanford University School of Medicine.
Hello, Rhonda.
Hello, David, and welcome everyone to episode 308. We welcome our listeners around the country and across the world. And we have two very lovely and loving guests today, Kai Chen, who is a psychiatrist in the Bay Area, and Chen Mary Sewer, who is a nurse, but a team therapist. And she is currently working on her master's degree in psychiatric and mental health nurse practitioner. So welcome, you guys.
Love, love, love. Da, 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 love, love. What was once a secret will now be revealed.
Oh, yes. To the entire world.
I wish we had a video because we can see Chuck Kai and Chan Mary blushing.
You're trying so hard to keep this secret.
Well, today our podcast is all about love. And how team therapy has facilitated the love between Kai and Chan Mary. We have a couple of announcements, and then I'm going to read an endorsement, and then we're going to dive into our pool of love.
Can we call this episode The Pool of Love?
The Pool of Love.
I like that.
Yeah.
Pool of Love.
Excuse me. Okay. So I'm going to read a podcast first, and then we have some announcements about upcoming groups. So this announcement is about episodes 301 and 302, which was the live work with Nasli. And we talked.
Oh, yeah. If I know this comment, this is a real mind blower.
Well, there are two. This was from Vicky. And she wrote, "Hi, David, Jill, and wonderful Nasli. I stumbled on your podcast whilst trying to find some answers to my thoughts. My thoughts being 100% as yours, Nasli. Listening to you was like listening to myself for the past 40 years. I resonated with your fears and answered the questions exactly the same. And I felt so overwhelmed and lucky to hear someone feel the same as I on every level. It was such a comfort, truly, to hear someone else with the same thoughts. I too suffer with generalized anxiety disorder and depression, and have done so since I was 10 years old, and I've tried really hard to manage them. And I have felt all the same thoughts as you on a daily, minute by minute, second by second basis. My psychiatrist suggested I try cognitive behavioral therapy just last week. And I'm so grateful to you, Nasli, for sharing your thoughts and fears publicly and giving me the chance to meet you and heal with you. I heard every word, every emotion from the beginning to the very amazing, fabulous new you. New you as in banishing the negative voice in your head. Please believe in yourself. You're a joy to listen to, and I can imagine you being a wonderful colleague, friend, therapist, and downright lovely person. Thank you. And thank you, David and Jill, for working with Nasli and for working with me via the podcast. Best wishes, Vicky, who is writing you from Australia, feeling good and feeling hopeful."
Oh, that's a beautiful, just a beautiful note, Vicky. Thank you so much. That's what we're always hoping is when people do personal work, that personal work will not only help the person we're treating, but touch so many people who are listening. And your note was just beautifully and lovingly expressed. What a fantastic thing to witness and to be a part of.
Yeah. Well, David, let's make some announcements. Don't you have an upcoming class with Jill?
Yes, Jill and I are doing a class on Kai's favorite topic. Kai will be joining us in a moment with his beautiful and gorgeous Chan Marie. But social anxiety, and it'll be a full day of social anxiety training for therapists, but it will also be open to the general public and anyone who wants help with your social anxiety. And I would say that includes most of the therapists I've ever trained in the Tuesday group. I swear that at least 90% of them struggle with social anxiety. And I've had, many forms of social anxiety in my life as well. And I know you and I did a session on social anxiety also, Rhonda.
I did yeah.
Yeah, it's just a fantastic topic. It's my favorite thing to treat, I think, of everything, because I know it so well from my own experience. And I just love seeing people get over that. It can make a mind-blowing impact on your life. And it'll be just fun. We'll be teaching 4 models. We don't just treat anxiety with exposure like so many people do. That's exposure helps, but that's simplistic to just use one thing. And we'll be demonstrating at least 5 or 10 or 15 or even more powerful, fun techniques for the treatment of social anxiety, not the least of which are the amazing and somewhat controversial shame attacking exercises and flirting training and rejection practice that we did a wonderful podcast, and you gave us your spin on that technique, Kai, which was just totally cool. And talk about the hidden emotion technique and cognitive techniques and working with outcome resistance and process resistance. It's going to be a heck of a good day there on October 2nd. If you're a mental health professional, you'll get CE credits. It's not expensive. It's like, I think the early bird registration is only $108. Full price is like $138 or $130 or something like that. And I think is there anything else I should say about it, Rhonda?
Just it'll be really fun, really educational, and a joy to participate in, and a shame to miss.
And it'll be virtual as we switch to complete virtual for safety for all of our workshops. And I would say all of our recent workshops have been really fun and really, really well received by people. When I teach with Jill, you can't go wrong. When I teach alone, I make gaffes and I get beaten up a little bit by the audience almost every time, and deservedly so. But when I teach with Jill, we get nothing but praise and well-deserved too, because she is such a beautiful, warm teacher. She's almost up on your level, Rhonda.
No, there's no way. I cannot compare to Jill. She's like the height of the best teachers in the galaxy.
On the planet. Yeah, she's really fantastic.
Well, Heather Clegg and Brandon Vance are going to be doing 2 new groups. We've made the announcement about their Feeling Great book club, and that's going to start September 13th. So if you want to sign up for that, you should do that. And in that book, it's for everyone, everywhere in the world, to learn the powerful tools to counter anxiety and depression by reading the Feeling Great book written by David Burns. And it's beginning September 13th. And to sign up, for that, you can just go to feelinggreattherapycenter.com/book club.
One thing, by the way, that I forgot to mention in commenting on Nosley's or Vicky's fabulous endorsement of the Nosley podcast. If you're like Vicky and you're listening right now and you've struggled with some form of depression or anxiety, you might want to go and sign up for our Feeling Good app for the beta testing, which is still free because we don't have the commercial version of it yet. But we're getting some fantastic results, even in a single day, with people using the Feeling Great app. You do have to have an iPhone. Eventually, when we get some money raised, which I hope will be pretty soon, we'll hire more engineers and have it for Android and computer as well. Right now, it's just for iPhone. But if you're an iPhone user, just sign up at feelinggood.com/app, and then you can sign up there and maybe beta test it. And also want to remind any of you that there's free groups on my website. A depression test, a depression group and a depression test, and also an anxiety group and anxiety test. And that stuff is all totally free.
Cool. And it's amazing that you give away so much of your work for free to people.
Well, you get really what admirable. You pay for.
That's not true.
So I've had to. That's why I had to price it that way.
Well, I love your modesty, David. So there are two other groups. One would be by Zaina Halim, and David, you know more of the details of that group. But Heather Clegg and Brandon Vance are going to be leading another group called the 5 Secrets Deep Practice Group, which is really about transforming relationships with the use of the 5 Secrets of Effective Communication that, David, you designed. And that group is also going to be starting September 14th and 15th. There'll be 2 different times. And to sign up for that, you can go to the feelinggreattherapycenter.com/5 secrets.
feelinggreattherapycenter.com /5 secrets. Is 5 secrets one word?
5-secrets.
5-. And how about if they want to do another round of Brandon and Heather's fabulous Feeling Great book club? Where do they go for that?
For that, they go to feelinggreattherapycenter.com/book-club.
Okay, so what is this feelinggreattherapycenter.com?
It's a loose collection. It's a collection of team therapists.
Well, who's heading it up?
Let's see. It might be me.
Oh, okay. So this is Rhonda's fabulous website with a treatment center and all kinds of good stuff there. So those book clubs are inexpensive, and they're going to have a lot of hands-on teaching and practice sessions. People have loved them in previous years. I'm sure you'll love it if you want to sign up. And then Zaina Halim has her anxiety book club starting soon. Do we know her email contact or something if people want the details?
I will look for it while we're talking. And then maybe...
Okay. And we'll have links in the show notes, but if we can say someplace where they can go and contact her, that's going to be a book club on my book, When Panic Attacks. And that'll be for every conceivable kind of anxiety. And I think a lot can be gained from a weekly book club. They'll be, reading it a chapter at a time and practicing the techniques and so forth. And so that's the anxiety book club with Zaina as the leader. And did you find anything there?
I did. It's Zaina Halim Therapy at gmail.com. And I'll spell that out. ZeinaHalimTherapy at gmail.com.
Zaina Halim Therapy, all one word?
Correct.
At gmail.com.
Yes.
And it's for people with panic attacks, OCD, PTSD, phobia, social anxiety, generalized anxiety, health anxiety, hypochondriasis, any form of anxiety is covered with the more than 40 anti-anxiety techniques in that book. And you just get a copy of that book, and it's a paperback. You can get it at Amazon. And go to Zaina's book club, and who knows, you might get some help or even a cure for your anxiety. Woo-hoo. And now on to the pool of love.
Well, just putting this a little bit in context, when we first met Kai, and it was in episode 219, which we published December 7th of 2020, and part of that was dealing with your kind of depression and sadness about not being in a relationship. was part of it. And then we had, and even went into a little bit more depth in episode 277, which we published on January 17th of 2022. Is that right? 2022? Yes. And that was on rejection practice, which was helping to get you ready to be in a relationship. And now we have evolved to having you on our show with your love. So all of those tools seem to have worked for you, Kai. Tell us about it.
Yeah, well, first off, after hearing all those promotions, I want to promote my lovely girlfriend, Chan Mary. She's one of the best and most awesome people on the earth. And she's also a very top-notch team therapist. She has a very natural knack and feel for all of that. And so, but she is taken right now. So,
so Kai, how did the work of team therapy support you in order to facilitate this great relationship from being developed?
Well, that's actually a really good question. As I mentioned before in a previous podcast, I used a lot of the tools and approaches that David recommended in his book, Intimate Connections, and I tried to do dating through Tinder and trying to go out and ask women for their phone numbers and that kind of stuff. But eventually I just kind of got tired of doing that because it just kept on feeling like I was just chasing after something. And there was one thing that that's very important in David's book, in Intimate Connections, that I completely had neglected. And that was that, you have to stop chasing after the thing in order to finally find it. And so when I finally just stopped doing all that dating stuff because I was just getting so exhausted from getting rejected and doing it over and over, even though I learned a lot, I got into the Tuesday group very shortly afterwards. And then I met Chan Mary in one of the small group, the breakout rooms. And then things kind of took off from there. So, yeah.
And that was over Zoom, right?
That was over Zoom, yes. And I was in Texas. She was in California, and like we were both talking with each other. I had like no kind of like expectations or like any wish or desire to like start a relationship. I just thought, hey, there's this really cute girl in the Zoom class, and she's talking to me. I'm having fun. I think she's having fun too, And yeah, maybe Chan Mary, you can fill in some more details.
Yeah, what was it like for you?
Version of the story.
Well, actually, David, since you mentioned the workshop on social anxiety, I would say this is the pool of love that perhaps the floaty or the helping swimming device was all your podcasts on social anxiety. And I would say like we wouldn't have found each other if I wasn't on my own personal journey to get over my own social anxiety. Because I also suffered really bad social anxiety. And even now, like Kai is so good at being on podcasts. Like he loves to like share great stories, but like for me, like I'm still like really like nervous and embarrassed, and it's harder for me to talk about myself. But
are you feeling that right now?
I do, yes.
Well, after you've finished telling us what you're telling us, we'll have to see what your negative thoughts are.
Okay.
What you're telling yourself.
Well, one of the thoughts is, I can't be as impressive as Kai. So
well, that's the absolute truth, though. Like, there's no disputing that.
But yes, so I was on a personal journey to get over my social anxiety, and at that time was in 2020, and I had just joined Tuesday group. And like Kai said, we had we were doing a practice on I think it was changing the focus in a small group. Mm-hmm. And at that time I had thought to myself that I've never been the first to ever reach out to someone or to build a relationship, a friendship of any kind. So it was one of like the the personal challenge for myself. I thought, okay, if I want to make friends in Tuesday group, I have to make an effort. And then I sent Kai the first email. I just so it's like I found him because he was very an active member of the Tuesday group and still is. So I sent him an email just thanking him for his very thoughtful and thorough feedback, and we started emailing each other.
That's so neat. Yeah, and that was started in one of our confidential breakout rooms, right?
Yeah.
It sounds so devious, exciting. And if any of you therapists are out there, this is the free training I do at Stanford, and it's absolutely free. But the breakout rooms are very costly. That's the upsell version of the free training. I'm just pulling everybody's leg, but that's so exciting. And then I remember for a long time you kept it secret.
Yeah, that's right. Because I think we just didn't want to make it too big of a deal in the Tuesday group at that time, because we didn't want people to like view us differently or treat us differently. But now I just look back on it and it's like maybe it's not that big of a deal. Like we were sometimes covertly flirting with each other.
No, I was the embarrassed one. Kai wanted to just tell everyone all the time, but I was like, no, I'm embarrassed. I would prefer to keep to myself.
We were talking about social anxiety and how you both had to overcome social anxiety in order to meet each other. Mm-hmm. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, so I feel like that is a very good beginning point, because like I had mentioned, it was a personal challenge for me to overcome my social anxiety, to reach out to someone I didn't know and to initiate conversation. So I've never done that in the past before. And it was easy talking to Kai because Kai, one of the first thing I noticed about him was that he's very transparent and he's very vulnerable. So whatever I ask, he's like an open book, he'll talk endlessly about himself. But anyone with social anxiety knows that's actually the type of person that's easy to talk to, because when you're struggling with social anxiety, it's really hard to talk about yourself and to be open. So I saw Kai talking about himself like as a very courageous act, and it made me want to get to know him more. So yeah, that was the beginning.
That's neat. How often do you think it works like that? When you're open and vulnerable, other people get a positive feeling to you. Do you think that's universal, or half of human beings, or any idea about that?
Well, one of the things that I told Kai, and this goes into another segue where I was also practicing the flirting technique in one of your podcasts.
Oh,
and
cool.
I really resonated with how flirting can be a very genuine compliment to someone.
Oh, so yeah.
I tried to test it out, and one of the compliments I gave Kai was that I thought all the stories he shared about how he overcame his social anxiety, all the things he did, rejection practice, going up to women, asking their phone number, and him just being very open and expressive. It was actually inspirational to me because it gave me the courage to want to challenge myself as well. And even being on this podcast today, I've listened to Kai's first two podcasts, and the first one that I listened, his first initial podcast, we didn't know each other very well, but when I listened to it, I just felt really close to him. And I was also like really surprised at how vulnerable he was and how open and expressive he was. And, in a way that inspires me to be on the podcast today, because even though, I'm really nervous and sometimes I'm tripping up on my words, it's just something I want to challenge myself to do.
That's cool.
So cool. I mean, you're talking about taking risks So do you think that it's important to take risks if you have social anxiety?
Well, Kai probably has not told anyone this, but I was the one that asked him to go to Hawaii, and that's where we first met. Yes, so we had been emailing each other and texting each other for like a pretty long while. And this was in January of 2021, and this was when we were still in the pandemic, but since we're both frontline workers, we've already had our vaccination and both our double shots. And in January, I usually go on a medical mission to Cambodia. But because of the pandemic, I couldn't do that anymore, but I've already had vacation planned out. So I have a friend that lived in Hawaii and she had invited me to go and I wanted to go, but no one was willing to go with me because, it's still the pandemic, the general public hasn't been vaccinated yet. And then I did the boldest thing I've ever done in my life until to this date. I decided to ask Kai if he wanted to go to Hawaii with me because he was already vaccinated. And at this time, I was pretty curious about him, and I really trust my instinct that he was a trustworthy and upstanding guy. So I decided to ask him to go to Hawaii with me.
Oh my God,
that's such a common first date.
Wow. What did you think, Kai, when she asked you to go to Hawaii? Talk about taking risks.
Oh my God. Speaking of social anxiety, a lot of it kicked in, when she asked me, at first, when she asked me, I was very excited to say, yes, of course, I would love to go. But then as a little bit of time went on, my anxiety started kicking in and I was telling myself things like, what if we get too close to each other and then something bad happens and then our relationship falls apart? Or what if I'm not here at my residency? At that time I was still training. What if I'm not here in my residency and they ask me to work and I'm not there? I'm going to get in trouble. And most of my fears were just what would happen to this relationship if it didn't work out, and then I'm going to lose a potentially really good friend. And so actually, when she called me a little bit later on to finalize the details of going to Hawaii, I actually told her, I changed my mind. I don't want to go. And she got so pissed off at me. She got so angry.
Yes, he was so good at rejection practice. He rejected me.
Yeah, I know. And then the moment I made that decision, I knew it was the worst decision in the world. I just felt so terrible. I felt like my anxiety was at a peak. And I was like, I need to do something about this. I need to make a decision that makes sense to me, figure out why I can't make a decision that makes the most amount of sense now. So I actually used David's decision-making form. The first decision was to stay in Texas and not go on vacation. And the second decision was to go on vacation. And it was very surprisingly helpful. It helped me see a lot of the reasons why it was keeping me stuck. And I worked on it very quickly. And then a couple hours later, I called Chan Mary right after rejecting her and desperately asking for her forgiveness and saying, please, I want to go. I changed my mind. I realized I made such a dumb mistake. And at that time, we had not actually confessed our feelings to each other, actually. And I realized that was actually the biggest mistake that I was making. And that's what was affecting my decision making. So I decided to be very open and upfront with her and just tell Chan Mary, I actually really like you. And that's the reason why I've had difficulty with making this decision, because I don't want to go on this trip with you and then ruin a good relationship. And then Chan Mary bravely told me how she felt too. And so that got us really close to each other. And then, we went to Hawaii a month later, and it was one of the best trips of my life.
Wow. That is, oh my God, I feel like I'm blushing now. So did you meet at the airport? Is that the first time you laid eyes on each other in person?
So all my friends were very concerned. They're like, do you have a backup plan? Like, what if he's a creep? And
What if he's what?
if he's a creep.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. What if he's a creep?
Yeah. And I assured them that my friends live in Hawaii, so if anything, I can go stay with her and I can be with her. And I was actually a little nervous too. There was a lot of self-doubt, like, oh my goodness, like, why am I doing this? This is so crazy. What if all of these things? But I decided to trust myself because I, realize I don't give myself a lot of credit and I don't tend to trust my own decision. So I just told myself, there are reasons why you decided to trust Kai. There are a lot of things that make you decide that you can trust him and you feel safe meeting him in Hawaii. And it just goes back to, I just think it's because of how open and just expressive he is. So it just feels like I really know him. And so that was, I don't even know what I was saying. So yeah, I decided to just go through with it.
And how did it work out?
Oh, it worked out great. We were on there. I was there with Chan Mary for just less than like 6 or 7 days, and we hit it off really fast. And yeah, we were officially boyfriend and girlfriend within a couple of days. We unfortunately I had to leave a little bit earlier in order to get back to my training program, but we kept texting and contacting each other, and eventually Chan Mary asked me, what do you want to do from here? Are you going to stay in Texas? Or are you going to come to California? And I said, well, I'm not sure. And and Chan Mary said that she did not want to move to Texas. And I was like, oh, okay, that's fine. I'll just move over to California.
It's not that I didn't want to move over to Texas, Kai. It's in the beginning, I thought it was very important to just be very open with, the possibility of what could happen.
Yeah.
And I told Kai that I couldn't move to Texas because I knew I was applying at that time to be in my program, or maybe I've already gotten accepted. So I know it's a 2-year program at UCSF for my psychiatric nurse practitioner program. And also I knew that after I finish, I would move to Long Beach because I'd made a promise to my younger sister to move to Long Beach as soon as I'm done with my program to just help out more. So I knew that my plans were more inflexible. And even though I really liked him, I just really wanted to be very honest and also transparent with what I could do.
Yeah, I was on the other hand was incredibly flexible. I was like, it sucks being long distance. I just want to move closer to the person that I really love. So it wasn't too bit a difficult decision for me. I was like, I thought about it and to myself for a little bit, and I was like, well, I can stay in Texas and be alone, or I can go over there and be next to love of my life. And I was like, okay, we're just gonna move over there. So
like no brainer, huh?
Yeah, no brainer. It was. I moved to California for love, so that's what brought me here.
Oh, that's so neat.
That's
now
so
you guys kept your relationship kind of secret from the Tuesday group for quite a while, as I recall.
Yes, I remember you kind of bringing it up covertly several times, David.
Oh, did I?
Yeah, you did, kind of poking fun at us.
Yeah. So what happened? What was the decision to go public? And are you entirely public now, or should I not mention it to the Tuesday group?
Oh, well, I think that was more because of me, because I get really easily embarrassed and I don't like to draw focus to myself. So I was asking Kai, I was like, can we just like keep this on the down low? But now I'm okay with it. And since we're on this podcast, it's public information.
So I don't need to keep it or deny it to the Tuesday group?
No.
Or tell the Tuesday group, whatever you do not listen to episode 308.
Yeah.
No.
That's the way. For sure. Gosh, it's so, and you're both such neat people, and it's such a beautiful story, and particularly these days when the world is so ugly and on so many different levels, to the joy, the sparkle that you folks bring to our podcast today and every Tuesday group. It's just a joy.
Well, David, I don't know if you knew, but you were unintentionally our matchmaker. We wouldn't be here today without you.
That's great. That was always my favorite thing when I was in private practice too. 60% of my practice was single people. And so a lot, that was my main thing, is getting people hitched up and teaching them the ropes and helping them get over the same social anxiety that had pretty much, afflicted my life up till, well into medical school. And then I finally got over it. And boy, what a joy it's been. People are so wonderful adventurers. Love is a wonderful adventure, and meeting people can be so much fun. And it's sad to be crippled with social anxiety and to have your world so shrunken and your options so shrunken. My son just fell in love, as an aside. He was camping out here at our house for a while. He was trying to save dough because he didn't want to go back to work, and he wanted to take some time off and try to get an app he was working on started, and it didn't quite work out. But where we live here is just like old people country. It's and downtown Los Altos isn't like downtown Palo Alto. And so he moved over to Santa Cruz, and he soon discovered that there were social functions going on all the time there, with like about a 4-to-1 to 8-to-1 women to male ratio.
Oh, nice.
And he immediately thought, hey, this is the place to be. And that was about a month or so ago. And now he's, I guess, according to my wife, he's madly in love and in Euphoriaville. So we're just so happy to see that. So happy for you guys too.
Yeah. Very happy. Thanks
well, since this is a team podcast, you use team methods to overcome your social anxiety and take risks and meet each other. Are you using other team techniques or aspects of team therapy to keep your relationship healthy and alive?
Go ahead, Ty.
Oh, yeah. To modify to a certain degree, I would say, because let me see. One of the biggest problems that both Chan Mary and myself have is it's probably a holdover from a lot of the social anxiety we both had, is that we have difficulty expressing whenever we're upset or angry with each other. And when we don't do that, it usually causes the conflict to mushroom up, and I'll have to kind of take the bullet and admit here that a lot of times it starts with me, because I try to be nice and conciliatory. I don't try to, when I'm very clearly angry and upset, I just kind of push it down. But then it always comes up in other ways, and I get very passive aggressive. And Chan Mary is actually very helpful in that regards, because she can tell when I'm hiding something. She just goes up to me and says, I can tell that you're angry and upset. How are you feeling right now? Just tell me what it is, for God's sake. And then I finally open up, and it's very uncomfortable, but she opens up to me too, and tells me how difficult it is. And the funny thing is, we just tell each other how annoying and angry we get with each other, and then after that, the argument just kind of fizzles out, and we feel much closer to each other. So that's something that we both learned while being together in this relationship, that our I feel statements really suck. So it's an ongoing kind of challenge. And but I've learned so much just being with Chan Mary, and I do have to say that, and I was not kidding about the whole promoting kind of stuff. She's just starting off in her own career. She has a real knack for this team therapy kind of stuff. and she's got a huge well of empathy and compassion, and really can understand people really, really fast. So, and she's not practicing right now, but in the future, I think she'll do really, really great. But to answer the question, yeah, like we use 5 secrets with each other, but the ones we need to always focus on is the I feel statements. So what do you think, Chandler?
Yes, for me, I was thinking about your question, Rhonda, and I was thinking about it the whole time. I was talking. I was like, thanks for giving me the time to think. And I would say one of the most useful team techniques that is beneficial to our relationship for me is the hidden emotion. Because whenever I'm feeling really angry or really sad, the emotion or the issue that I'm really feeling is not always on the surface. And so I have to, so I'm a pretty introspective person. So I usually have to take time to reflect on what's really the deeper issue, or what's really the deeper maybe insecurity or something that is triggering all these distressful emotion for me. And Kai was saying that one of the things that's helped our relationship is being honest, but until I really find out what the issue is or what's truly bothering me, it's not as helpful to talk to him about it. I usually have to like find out what it is first.
Yeah, lots of times she has like dreams when she gets stressed out, and I try to interpret them, and usually I'm right.
It's fun to interpret dreams, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
It's pretty easy. It's just like, it tells you what you're upset about.
Yeah. I can tell she's upset with me when it involves me, and she's like thinking about like in my dream something bad is happening to me, or she's not wanting to be around me in her dream.
Yeah. Well, what could that mean if she has a dream that something bad is happening to you? What do you think that means, Jan Marie?
I don't even remember what you're mentioning, but it is true. Sometimes, like I said, if ever we have an argument, or actually sometimes, I don't know if other people can relate to this, but sometimes I don't know when I'm really upset. And I would maybe...
Do you get anxious then?
Maybe, or maybe it's like I tell myself that, I want to be supportive. I want to be understanding. I want to be empathetic. And so I don't realize that I'm actually upset over something. And it's actually true. And the way sometimes that I know that I'm upset is that I'll have dreams.
Usually involving me.
And then the dreams, I know I would be upset at Kai because I don't remember I had a dream about you getting hurt, but sometimes I'll have a dream that our relationship wouldn't work out or there would be someone else.
Yeah.
And that's how I usually know. And I wake up and I go, oh, okay, I'm upset at Kai.
Yeah, that's neat. I'm programmed a lot the same way you guys are. Yesterday I was interacting with a colleague, and I was being, I thought really, really nice, and I felt like I was getting cut up all the time. And then afterwards in the evening last night, I said, I'm really mad at him. It suddenly dawned on me that I was incredibly angry and pissed off. So I sent an email that I was really mad at you yesterday. I haven't told him exactly why yet because I've been so busy. But as soon as I expressed it, it started petering out. And then I woke up in the middle of the night with another fantastic statistical model. And I got all excited. My anxiety disappeared. And then I got up this morning and did the statistics on the computer. And it was what I thought it was. And it was so gratifying. But yeah, that anger is a funny thing, how we can kind of push it under the rug. And I don't know, you guys might have a feel for it, but it's so easy to say, well, it's because of the way our upbringing. My father was a Lutheran minister, and we were supposed to be nice all the time. And so you can weave these stories about why you're a particular way, but that doesn't mean the stories are correct at all. And I've often wondered if it might be some actual brain phenomenology that the part of your brain that knows that you're angry isn't kind of connecting across the corpus callosum to the part of your brain that talks and is conscious. And if there's just some kind of neurophysiology behind that phenomenon, and I've never been able to figure it out. But it's, I heard about this split brain study, where they have these people with split brains, Kai.
Yeah.
Marie, and they do it for uncontrollable epilepsy, and then it often makes the epilepsy better or disappear entirely, I guess. But then the person's like they have two brains, and that can't, two halves that can't quite connect with each other. So they can flash pictures into the half of your retina, the right or left halves, and that picture will go to one half of the brain, but not the other half.
Yeah.
And so they were doing one of these experiments with this fellow, and they flashed a picture of a naked woman to the right half of his brain, where the speech center isn't there. The speech center is on the left half of the brain. And he started giggling excitedly. And they said to him, what are you so excited about? And he said, I have no idea, but I just think that these psychology experiments are so much fun, and I just want to keep doing this all afternoon. And that's very much like this phenomenon where, the part, maybe something over in the right half of your brain is all angry about something, but it can't quite get that message across the corpus callosum very easily. So you don't know kind of that you're upset or what you're upset about. That's about the extent of the thinking I've had about it. But it seems like a distinct phenomenon that's characteristic of some people, but not most people, or not everybody, certainly. I don't know. Does that make any sense to either of you?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I remember reading up those studies, and I saw it, and they showed us videos about that stuff. It was pretty mind-blowing kind of stuff. They could show people things on like one side of the versus the other, and it was like they could show them things that, as you mentioned, the right side of the brain, and they would. It would not really correlate at all, but they would know that there's something that's going on over on that part. And I do think, to a large degree, a lot of people with anxiety do maybe there's some kind of weird cross-wiring or something that's going on over there, and that's why it's harder for some individuals to really bring up whenever they're upset or angry or that kind of stuff, and it's just kind of there. But that's why the anxiety is such a great thing, because it's basically the right side of your brain kind of like yelling at you. You got to pay attention to what's right in front of you, and figure it out. And as you've always mentioned, David, it's almost always a problem in here and now, and it's a real problem. It's not like something abstract like that happened years ago, or like
right, exactly. Yeah, it's something happening right now, and within the last week or something like that. Could this information be of value to our listeners, most of whom probably do struggle with anxiety?
I think so, because I worked with quite a few people with anxiety, and I always tell them the same thing that you've taught me. I always tell them, the anxiety, on one hand, I'll help you with your anxiety. I'll help you get your anxiety lower, if not completely eliminate it. But on the other hand, there's another really big problem that's going on, and you know exactly what's going on, but like you're probably avoiding it. So let's talk about tell me about something that's maybe going on in your life right now. Like maybe you're angry or at somebody, maybe you're feeling lonely, maybe you want to quit your job, but you're having some second doubts about it, and you don't even think you can entertain that thought. And I had one person who practically healed herself even before she saw me. Her friend she was struggling with a lot of anxiety, and one of her friends just showed up at her home and noticed that she was really lonely, and then just offered to like spend time with her and hug her and that kind of stuff. And she got better like instantly. Her panic attacks and anxiety went away. And that was even before she saw me. And so pretty much all I really had to do was just share that insight with her. And in addition to helping with the other anxiety symptoms, and that was very helpful. So yeah, I think it has a lot of practicality for people struggling with anxiety.
For me, I realized at least what helps me become close to Kai is that sometimes being nice and being close is not something you can do simultaneously. Because for me, I know that my values are as a partner is to be understanding, to be empathetic, to be supportive. And so sometimes I choose not to prioritize my feelings and I don't advocate for myself. But then for me, it'll come up in different ways, that has certain consequences. So I'll either have like bad dreams, or another thing that happens is I start to become distant. Whenever I choose to be nice and I'm not honest with my own feelings, I always notice that I'm getting more and more distant from Kai. Mm-hmm. And the only way that I've become close to him again is that, and it goes back to the hidden emotion, I'll have to be really honest what's really bothering me. And, sometimes that could involve being angry or being upset. And paradoxically, and I know a lot of people with anxiety avoid this, is that they think if they're confrontational or they become upset at someone, that it would cause a strife in the relationship. But at least for me and Kai, whenever I'm really honest about my feelings, that's when I usually become closer to him. And I don't know, do you feel that every time we fight, we usually become closer?
Well, it's a two-way street. Like, she has to be honest with me, but then like I have to also be honest too, because sometimes when she finally lets me know like what's been upsetting her, like it does hurt my feelings. It makes me feel upset, and I find that if I'm not honest with her and let her know, it really hurts my feelings when you say that, even though what you're saying is true, and I don't let her know that it makes me angry or upset, then I get distant, and then she gets more irritated with me because I'm not really owning up to how I feel. And then once I own up to how I'm feeling, then suddenly we both get closer together. So that's something we both learned throughout the past. It's been close to like 2 years actually of dating. We both sometimes we'll get angry and upset with each other, but the problem is not the anger and the upset. The problem is just not being honest and being caring enough to share those feelings. And yes, it's going to cause hurt feelings, but as David always mentions, it's always an opportunity to get closer to the other person, and it is the way to get closer to them, even if it feels like it's going to be a kick in the butt. So it's one, I would say that every time that she's told me that she's gotten angry or upset with me, she's unhappy about something, I take it a little bit bad at first, but then after I think about it and I'm honest with myself and with her, we always end up getting closer to each other. And it's one of the most beautiful things about being in a relationship, to be honest, because like it feels so painful in the moment, but then it doesn't feel like it kind of feels like a miracle once everything like resolves, to be honest. I might be exaggerating a bit.
Hyperbolic.
It feels like a miracle to me. I mean, like I remember last time we had an argument, I felt like crap for like 2 days, and then finally I opened up to you, and then like it was like I never felt like crap in the first place, and so it was kind of amazing. And
you guys are so neat, and I think so many of our listeners will be able to identify with what you're saying, and they're now making out erotically on the show. You're such a neat, beautiful couple. But I just have one question for you both, and then Rhonda probably has a closure and a question too, but why is it so hard for us human beings to be open and honest with how we feel? Because, we talk, our next podcast is going to be on loneliness, but that's a kind of loneliness where you're, not being open. We hide how we feel, and we smile on the outside and we're feeling very differently inside. Why is it so hard for us?
Yeah. So it varies from person to person, I think, but I would say, on a general sense, that people may have difficulties with being open and honest because they're afraid of conflict and afraid of like anger, the other person's anger as well as their own anger. And another potential reason could be that that they're afraid of feelings of insecurity. Like if you admit to and try to talk to the other person about like what they're criticizing you for, you're basically opening yourself up to a lot of very true things, criticisms and negative things about yourself, and that's uncomfortable. It causes a lot of guilt and shame. For me personally, I think that it's kind of a weird sort of paradox. I don't like to get angry with Chan Mary because I don't want to hurt her feelings. I don't want to make her feel bad, and I don't want to make her feel sad. And that's why I lots of times have difficulties with opening up and being honest. Because I think in my head, if I just stay quiet and I ignore this feeling, maybe it'll go away at some point, and then I don't have to yell at her or get angry at her, and because that would be the last thing I would want to do. So from a positive reframing kind of aspect, it's like me thinking that I'm protecting the relationship when in reality it's actually doing the complete opposite. Chan Mary, you may have a different answer in terms of that.
I think I agree with you. I think it has a lot to do with fear. But for me personally, growing up as an Asian American, I don't always have that example in front of me to someone who's very open, someone who's very expressive, someone who's vulnerable, and someone who's just honest and straightforward about their thoughts and feelings. So you are a very good example of that, David and Rhonda and Kai. And, just being around that, it's like learning by example. It makes me want to try for myself. And of course, it's very scary at first, but, I just really admire that, because if you're not open about yourself and you're not expressive, then how can other people really know who you are, and how can you form any type of genuine connection? So that's my take on it.
Yeah.
Well, I know that you'll be in practice one of these days, and we look forward to that, Chan Mary, because you're going to be a beautiful therapist, warm and caring. Then you're going to have all the high technology of team as well. That you're going to be quite the lady, I would say, when it comes to your career, and that's exciting. With regard to you, Kai, if someone wants to get in contact with you and get some of your fantastic therapy,
yeah,
you're at the Feeling Good Institute.
That's correct. Yes.
And how do people find the Feeling Good Institute? How would someone listening right now, we'll have the links in the show notes, but if somebody doesn't read the show notes, how would they get in contact with you if they want a little help with their feelings?
Yeah, that's a great question. So you can, if you're looking for help with, especially in the team model, the testing, empathy, agenda setting, and methods, over at the Feeling Good Institute, you can go onto a web browser, Google Feeling Good Institute, and there should be a tab up there like Find a Therapist, and you can type in my name, which is, my first name is spelled Kai, C-A-I. My last name is Chen, C-H-E-N, as in Nancy. Additionally, you can also directly contact me at my email. My email address is Kai, CAI, at feelinggoodinstitute.com. So feelinggoodinstitute.com. So that no spaces, no dashes, no capitals.
So that's Kai, if I want to contact you, CAI
Mhm.
at one word, feelinggoodinstitute.com.
Yes, that is correct.
Awesome. Rhonda, do you have any?
Well, no. Normally, I feel put on the spot when you say that, but today I'm ready to dive right into our pool of love. David, how long have you been married?
Well, we were living together for some time. I would say our roots originate around 1970, maybe even a little into 1969. And through there, I was in a coffee house in downtown Palo Alto, and that's where like hippies used to go. It was on University Avenue, right near the underpass. And it was really a cool place. It doesn't exist anymore.
Oh.
And then some babe walked by and I said, "Would you like a ride on my motorcycle?" She said no, and kept going. And then Melanie saw that, and so she walked by. And I said, would you like a ride on my motorcycle? And she said yes. And so we've been on that motorcycle ride ever since.
That's so
cool.
sweet.
Isn't that neat?
Yes.
Yeah.
So you've been married 52 years or involved in Melanie 52 years.
Yeah, something like that. That's right. We got our anniversary coming up on the 19th of this month, as a matter of fact. And we were going to go over and stay overnight at this cool spot in Half Moon Bay, but now that all the virus is back, we're just going to go to this place. It's a real fancy place in downtown Los Altos, but they have nice outdoor seating, so it should be pretty safe. I'm trying to think of the name of the place. It's man, it slipped my brain.
Well, that would be a fun way to celebrate your anniversary.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And Michael and I have been married 33 years.
Wow, that's a long time.
I know.
Yes.
And so I think that I can speak for David. We just feel so honored to be in the throes of the beginning of your loving relationship and to be able to share it with our listeners. And what better way to advertise and prove the social anxiety techniques that David writes about and proposes and teaches about, and we'll be teaching October 2nd. They work because you guys both use them all and, gain the benefit of them. So that's so cool.
I have an important question. What's in the future for this couple?
Oh, I want to ask that too, but I wasn't bold enough.
I'll let her answer this.
Well, you will definitely both receive an invitation should
Cool. Because I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but one of the cool things about getting married, you know what it is?
What?
Yeah, you can have sex then.
Before we end, David and Rhonda, I do have a question for you. I was wondering, could you impart your wisdom on what makes a long-lasting successful?
Well, I have the wisdom, and it took me many decades to figure it out. But it is an ultimate, irreversible guarantee for a happy and permanent marriage.
Oh, okay.
And it's just some advice directed to Kai, because after all, it's a male-dominated world. Women should not forget that. And the secret formula is just to say this as often as necessary. You're right, dear. that is so damn important.
Oh my God!
You have to follow it since David said it.
I think my husband would agree with that. But what I was going to say is, and what works for Michael and me is that some friends told us, and we used to do it religiously, that before we went to sleep, we would say, "Is there anything that needs to be cleared up from the day?" And sometimes there was nothing, but sometimes there was something. And then we had the opportunity to.
That's neat.
Yeah, we still do it, actually.
And you want to see pure love, true love. Come here, kitty. Sweetie. Here you are. See, I have some candy for you right here. See if I can get her over here and I can get the camera on her. Sweetie pie. Come on, hon. Yeah, that's some candy for you. Here you go. That's for you.
Well, the true love between a pet owner and his cat is...
Yeah, it's hard to beat. I'll tell you that. I just love animals so much.
Yeah, so it's really been such a great honor to have you guys and for you to share your beautiful relationship and your beautiful story with us. Thank you so much for coming.
I just love the both of you. You're such beautiful, young, bright, bubbly people.
I know. You add so much to the world.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Chan Mary, you're always right.
Here you go. Well, my wife is not always right, but she's right 90% of the time. And I'm lucky too, because you have to have some brains somewhere in your family, and the brains in our family are all with my wife. She keeps me out of trouble most of the time.
I can relate with that. I can totally relate with that.
Well, have a great day, folks. I guess we'll see you tonight in the Tuesday group. And if any of you are listening, looking for some unlimited free psychotherapy training, you can join our Tuesday group at Stanford. If you're a mental health professional, we used to limit it to the Stanford community, and then we enlarged it to the community of people living here. And now it's open to people all over the United States and all over the world because it's virtual. So,
or they could join the Wednesday group.
You have some openings now?
Yeah, we're going to start a new, we do it a little differently. People have to join the newbie group first and then join our major group. And we're going to start another newbie group in probably in September.
Oh, cool. Yeah, we're going to start a newbie group too.
And, Kai is a member of both groups, and he is an incredibly, fantastic member of our Wednesday group. He's a small group leader and adds so much to our group.
Are you a small group leader in our group too, Kai?
Yeah, I am.
That's what I thought. Yeah. That's neat. Yeah, you're both just a blessing. You're both a miracle.
Well, thank you. That's what I was going to say to both you and Rhonda. I would say it's been a miraculous experience for me these past couple of years, and I honestly,
it is, isn't it?
Yeah, I honestly don't think I would have been able to get over here without you and Rhonda and the rest of the community's help. So thank you so much.
I've always said that California is a magic land. It's where your dreams come true. That's always been true for me.
Yeah, and David and Rhonda, I wanted to thank you for always doing the podcast, because I'm sure with all the letters, but it really helps, at least for me, in so many ways, and it's been very impactful to my life. And I'm sure you reached countless of hundreds to millions of people, and you've helped so many.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
One last question. Are you still licensed in Texas, Kai?
I am, yes.
Because I sent you a referral within the past week or two, and I don't know if the person ever contacted you.
That's fine.
If we have listeners in Texas who's looking for Team CBT in Texas, there's very few. I know of one or two halfway team therapists in Texas, but Kai can treat you virtually from here in California.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Because licensed in California and in Texas. So keep that in mind too. If you're somewhere in Texas and wanting some help for your depression or anxiety or your anger or whatever, you can't do better.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, guys. Big love to you.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
This has been another episode of the Feeling Good podcast. For more information, visit Dr. Burns' website at feelinggood.com, where you will find the show notes under the podcast page. You will also find archives of previous episodes and many resources for therapists and non-therapists. We welcome your comments and questions. If you want to support the show, please share the podcast with people who might benefit from it. You could also go to iTunes and leave a 5-star rating. I am your host, Rhonda Borowski, the director of the Feeling Great Therapy Center. We hope you enjoyed this episode. I invite you to join us next time for another episode of the Feeling Good Podcast.